Welcome to Viridian City. Now, as I've mentioned in previous videos, the map I originally made was only a version to be updated as we go with adjustments made as the towns go in. So it looks like now I'm going to have the space to have Cinnabar in its rightful spot at the bottom of the map now that I realise that I've got more area than I thought under Tudor City. So I'm not going to go into lots of detail about the town planning in this video, but if you want to see more town planning videos, let me know and I'll do them. I do have them there. For each of the towns as well, I will go into a little bit of town planning, just not too much. Generally what I'm doing is bringing up like a Gen 1, 2 and 3 map, some pictures from the anime and some architectural pictures that, might have some elements that I think will suit. And once I've estimated a rough space, I mark out where each building will go in comparison to the map. And this works out as well, helps work out as well where things are going to be visible from and how much space you're going to have to view a structure from sort of behind and in front. So terraforming takes practice, and it's very much about understanding pixel line theory when you're working within Dragon Quest Builders. After some structures, we'll go quickly just dip into cleaning up the terraformed area. But first we'll start with a house. So with all the other towns as well, we're starting with a house. It serves as our palette for the town, and so that helps us get a feeling of what the overall town design and material is going to be. It doesn't mean they're all going to be the same as the house, but it just gives us an idea of what that theme is going to be. And to keep some symmetry as well, all the houses in all the towns are roughly the same size. They're not exact, but they're close enough that they help kind of scale the world, as everywhere around you the houses are going to look about the same. And we'll jump into the house first. So look, sometimes making a palette, if you're really not sure, is a great way to see what's going to work together. So just grabbing a few of each block, doing it maybe 3 or 4 high, and just putting combinations together to see what's going to look nice together. And so here I decided just to go for a relatively standard Tudor style house for the Viridian City houses. So the Tudor style is an architectural style. It's like those little old English cottages. I did do a video with a little bit of an explanation about how the style works. I think it's going to fit perfectly into this sort of serene forest atmosphere, and it gives it that sort of quaint English feel. In Let's Go as well, the houses looked a bit Tudor style, but there's obviously not enough detail in the Gen 1, 2 and 3s to tell. So like the standard Tudor houses, we're just going to start by placing down hardwood columns, maybe 5 or so high on each corner. From there, we just want to make a top layer of hardwood as well for the roof to go onto, and then we're just going to fill all the walls this time with the infinite timbered wall, and then we're going to chip bits out to get our final style. So we did do it the other way in the original Tudor tutorial, but I prefer now to do it this way. It's a little easier, I find, to play with styles when the whole thing's already the infinite block. So along with sort of chipping bits out, you want to swap pieces, especially using the very top of the infinite stack, and putting it places in the middle is going to help make an interesting design and give you spots to use that lengthways timbered wall. Now, the front style at this point, I'm not totally happy with it, and I do end up changing it, but I'm going to go onto the roof to help me get a better idea of what changes I do want to make. So for this, we're just going to go with a basic gable, a pointy roof, and so to do that, we're just going to start by going a triangle all the way up until the 2 sides meet. Usually what I do is just do it on the same level as the actual wall, and then just pop the roof out one and add in the wooden brackets. Now we're going to as well just put in an accent, you can see, of the dyed green around the edges of the roof, because we want to use the white wooden brackets and we want to match with that Tudor style. So we've got that little strip of wood in the middle just as an extra detail. So I took down the bunting and I put a few flowers just around the edges to help me get a bit inspired. And then quickly I'm just going to make a light post here just to help me find that sort of greater theme. And I've had some ideas now, and I guess although it looks really simple, I actually just like the bunting across the top of the roof. I think it sort of fits in with that Tudor style really nicely. So now we want to put the accent above the door. We're going to use one of the driftwood logs that you find on the beaches. We could just place it directly above the door, but to make it a little bit more interesting, we're going to use a magnetic block instead. That way we can have something else in the block beside it. So you could use a range of different flowers, but I actually ended up using heatroot because I wanted it to wilt into those dead leaves. So I like the idea of that big leaf positioning where it is sort of coming out of the log. I think it adds a nice touch to that door. And so after that, I threw down some plants and trees. I am planning on taking a bunch back out, but I just wanted to throw them around to make sure that the environment was sort of matching in colour-wise and theme-wise, the trees and the house. So now that I'm happy with that, I'm going to move on to the item shop. Just quickly, the original item shop test I did, I had colours that I thought were probably too light, so I've changed it to this dark dyed colour here, and I've also added in 2 magnetic blocks using the dead tree roots on the top of the roof in that little bit of the gap, and I took out the white brackets as well in the window or the fortifications, and I turned them into brackets. So for the item shop, we'll focus mainly just on that double gable roof. But just quickly, so for the walls, I've used dyed white floorboards for the border and dyed blue castle tiles for the rest, with dyed white wooden fortifications in the windows. So now for the roof, I'm going to explain how I did it, but then I'm going to explain a much easier way that I realised you could do it after I had finished, of course. So I started with that front small gable. As I want the majority of the roof to have a lip, I've placed the door 1 block out from the wall and put the pillars on either side. I want the small gable to sit high so that it attaches to the other side. Now, because I'd started this way and I wasn't really sure what I was doing, it was a bit of messing around, but essentially I just needed to create a triangle up and just keep working from that small gable and the left-hand side. Just keep moving up and up 1 block and hoping that it was going to connect in less than 6 blocks. And then once they attached, I just grabbed my blocks and started going in like an L-shaped triangle, going 1 in, 1 up. And then I started going from the bottom and wrapping around a roof to make sure it was all gonna attach. And from there, as you can see, it kind of all does just fit together. But I realized after all of that, a much easier way to do it would be just create a large front gable and then add the small gable in on the right afterwards. Obviously, now that I've sort of worked that out. But it's one of those things that you can kind of hindsight as 2020. So the good thing about testing new roofs like this is if I want to do something similar like this, I know now that there's an easier way to do it. So the last thing for this video is just a little bit of terraforming. If anyone wants a more in-depth terraforming video, like I said, just let me know, send me a comment. I'm happy to do it if people want to know. I'm just not sure how much people are doing this kind of stuff. So to make curves that look smooth, you need to follow a few rules. This is all just within this game because we're using blocks. First, you want to gradually increase or decrease the blocks per line as you're going along. So usually I'm doing 1, then 2, then 3, sometimes skipping up to 5. But usually you're not jumping more than 1 or 2 per line to make a curve. If you start with smaller numbers and work up, you're going to have a tighter curve. If you start with larger numbers and work down, you're going to have a looser, less prominent curve. Now, you don't need to place things this particularly to get a good line. You can also just make a general line towards the direction and within the curve style you want, and then go back and chip away and replace some areas. The same or reverse goes for digging out a lake. Just bish bash out that general area and start chipping the blocks out one by one once that area is done to define the curve. So this theory is the same for changing out blocks to grass or whatever you're using as well. Just pay attention to where the textures meet and where they are gradually moving into each other. You want them to sort of go the same way your curves move. And the more you do, the more you get an intuition of how many blocks you need to make a curve or how to fill in the space. But always just try and go 1, 2 at a time and move inwards or outwards and adjust as you go. So that is all. I'm going to start working on Viridian Forest right now. So like I said, if anyone does want to see a longer terraforming video, just let me know and I'll put that together for the forest. I'm sorry I haven't been on the timeline that I said I would be getting out videos. I will try and get more stuff out, but I would also love some direction from you guys. If you could let me know what's going to help you, it's probably going to give me some motivation to put some stuff out there. But otherwise, I'm sort of back in Kanto for a little while. Sandy Highlands is having a break, so I'll maybe do a tour and I'll try and get to Pallet Town soon as well. All right, bye.